Believing in freedom over your finance is a very romantic way to think, but in a way, finance is freedom. I love the idea of putting freedom before everything else, choosing to live life and try to enjoy it more so than worrying about a career, especially when you're young. Somebody coined the phrase your live it up 20s and your work it up 30s. If you work too much, yeah, you don't have too much time to enjoy yourself. But if you have a lot of free time and you don't make too much money, there's not much you can do with your free time. Now, it's not as if you have to be a millionaire by any means, but to do basic things. It would be nice to book a flight to Thailand. Go train Muay Thai for 3 months. They have a 3-month visa to go and study Muay Thai over there. A flight to Thailand costs €1,000 round trip, plus money for the visa, plus money to pay for the gyms and the accommodation. You don't need to be a millionaire by any means to do that, but that's a lot of money for somebody who doesn't make multiple thousands per month. And at the same time, you spend 11 months out of the year in an office, so you can go on a trip for 1 month out of the year, or have 1 month free time. That's living for highlights, rather than just living to be alive. I've been out here in Spain for nearly a year and a half now, and the perspective you get on another country, on the culture, you can learn the language, you get to know the locals know me. I know my way around this city. I don't need to look at Google Maps. Since moving away from home, to clear my head, amongst other things, I like to think that a lot has changed for me. Internally, at least. My ability to speak confidently, although I wouldn't say it's amazing by any means, but it is something that I would have considered myself to be particularly bad at. Whether it's in a job interview or making new friends, whatever it is, any situation where you might have to sell yourself. Definitely a far cry away from where I was a year and a half ago. I did have one girl I was friends with for a while tell me that I'm not nearly as introverted as I seem a lot of the time, and I completely agreed with it. It's just interesting that she noticed that I have no problem talking to people when I need to, when I feel like it. A lot of the time I just don't. I do still feel a need to keep up with people who I see as considerably more charismatic than I am. Some people can just command the attention in a room in a way that I wish I could. Not that I love all the attention being on me, but it seems like a valuable skill that I admire, and I wish to be able to do that. That same girl told me that something about my tone of voice. A lot of the time she just couldn't hear me speak, which was annoying. That's something I've known. Something my parents would say to me a lot. Matthew, speak up. Because sometimes I kind of just like to mumble through my words and, blah, 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 blah. That's not an attractive way of speaking at all. And being told that is quite frustrating. This definitely doesn't happen to everybody, but I know I'm not the only person. Where when you're talking to people or a group of people, you can see it in their eyes, them losing interest in what you're saying. It's frustrating. It's disheartening. I do still have the poor habit of speaking too quietly, especially in a crowded room. Especially when speaking Spanish, if I'm in the shop or whatever and I want to ask to pay with card or to ask for a plastic bag or whatever it is. It's a confidence thing maybe. I just don't speak loud enough and people don't hear me. Just because you can hear yourself doesn't mean other people can hear you. Moving away from home and living alone has also done wonders for the feeling of independence. I was a bit of a sheltered child growing up, which definitely contributed to the feeling, the urge to want to get away. Being alone, having to look after myself, pay rent, pay the bills, cook myself food, feed myself well, instead of just eating Burger King, which is around the corner, multiple times per week. And even down to the not so attractive things, I don't have my mummy to wash my clothes for me anymore. I'm in a situation now where, like I said, I don't want to spend my life living in an office or living in one specific place doing one thing forever. The idea of that sort of commitment terrifies me. But I think there's a balance to find, because like I said, you do need money to do basic things. I'm not starving. I have somewhere to live. I'm doing okay. And I should be happy about that. There are people out there who don't have that. But there's always a feeling and an urge for more. We always want more. For me, that's to continue travelling. I sort of refuse to go back to Dublin out of pride, almost. More so just because I think I have problems here and there are certain days where I'm not so happy. Every day isn't sunshine and rainbows. Not every day is a movie. But going back home just because I can live with my family for cheaper and make more money, that's the only motivation. Finance is the only motivation. But I reckon I'll just be even more miserable back there. So there is definitely a balance to find. We've all heard before, when you get to the end of your life, you regret the things you didn't do more than the things that you did do. And you have a lot less time to do things if you're working every day. Certain jobs are going to be worse than others, obviously. If you're a finance bro, you make a shit ton of money, but you're sitting at a computer all day. It's not like being a bartender where you make some shit money, but at least you get to interact with people. You're working on social skills, you get to meet women. You can have a bit of fun. Working on an Excel sheet doesn't sound fun to me. If you're one of the people who want more from life, there's a tough decision to make. As I just said, you regret the things you didn't do more than the things that you did do. I could be in the position that I turn 70 or 80, God forbid, and I have no money, nothing to pass on to the next generation. Maybe I'll regret not having worked more. We're never fucking happy. We always want more.